Okay, first of all, as I said, you probably see 1/100th of the software that's available for ham radio on the internet. Secondly, I'm by no means an authority on probably 9/10 of the stuff I'm going to show you. There's a few things I know very well. There's a few I'm just going to mention to you. And thirdly, everybody sitting here is going to say, well, have you tried this piece of software? Have you seen that piece of software? And my answer to you is yes and no. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. All right, I guarantee it. So moving on. Second thing is that I'm an old Windows guy and an old DOS guy, and I'm going to talk software that's mainly for Windows, and some of it will be for Linux. Alas, I am not a Mac guy. I've got two sons that are, so I let them worry about that stuff, and I don't. So we're going to be concentrating on software for Windows and or Raspberry Pi and Linux. Okay, click. Types of applications. It's a nearly impossible topic to cover in a short presentation. And every day somebody's developing something new out there. And this is just a partial list of some of the things we can talk about. Logging, obviously, QSLing, contesting, digital, closed scan TV, propagation, satellite, rig control, radio program, antenna analysis, software-defined radios, APRS, and the list goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of things, but we're going to start with one that most everybody has to do. And what's going on? He's playing with the audio. Are we okay? Okay. Anyway, logging software, generally and our contesting. Probably something everybody here has used or should be using. You know, I can probably go back 40 years and pull the ARRL paper logbooks out from the shelves somewhere where you had to log everything by hand. And we all now, of course, do it with some kind of software. These are a few that are listed. N1MM Logger Plus, which is free and very popular. N3FJP, more for contesting. There is a price tag involved with it. Very good piece of software, but you'll pay for individual contests or a bulk package at a little more expense. One that I like is Logger 32, simply because I've been using it for probably 20 years. It is supported and it is free. Ham Radio Deluxe, oh my. At one time, that was a great piece of software. It's still a great piece of software if you like to spend money. The initial package is like $100, and it's $100 a year to support it, which I think they priced themselves out of the game, to be quite truthful. Yeah. Single buy-in for yeah, and 3FJP is one time. DX Lab, DX Keeper, Log4OM, they're all free. Click. Their site quotes that they're the world's most popular ham radio contesting logging program. It is nice. It includes a lot of different things. Handles most of the major contests. It will do sideband CW digital support, multi-user support. And it's mainly used for logging contacts. And 3FGP is a software suite for general logging, contest logging for the ARRL, CQ, etc., specialty logs, and miscellaneous software. Pros, you can spend $8 or $9 for individual packages. I'd recommend, if you really want to get into N3FJP, that you buy their package, which is about 100 programs, $50. It's a one-time buy, and you're constantly covered, and you're parentally covered in year to year, etc. So very, very popular piece of software, N3FJP. Click. Okay, Logger 32. This is one of my favorites. I'm really used to it. I know a couple other people that use it. Brian uses it. I got that. WA6EZV uses it. He's a friend, and he's got about 25,000 QSOs in it or something or other. And it's a multifunctional program. There's a user support group. It's actively updated all the time. There are bug fixes. There's some custom settings. And the other thing is, it's free. You know, it's complete logging. There's a packet cluster, ward tracking, work confirmed, packet, has a voice interface, radio antenna, rotor control if you want to, call sign lookup, QSL label printing, etc. Go ahead. This is the typical window. You can put there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different windows there at the moment. This is the way I have it set up. Every window is customizable as to where it goes on your screen, what colors you want it to be, what fields you want to see or not see, what information you want displayed, and it interfaces with your rig. So it knows, for instance, I would happen to be on FT8, it just reads the rig frequency, and it will log your contacts that come back and show you your previous QSOs. The DX cluster is showing spots down here. And then the logbook up top. So I like this one. It's got a learning curve like any of them, but it's not that steep. Go ahead. Another one, Ham Radio Deluxe. This was and still is a great piece of software. It's just pricey. It's as simple as that. And I got into it for a little while. I can truthfully say that it's got a pretty good learning curve. There are so many parts to it that you can spend a week or two on each different module trying to learn it. You know, it's not, I'm going to sit down and fire it up and be using it in 2 days. You're going to sit down and fire it up and be using it in a couple of months if you're lucky. It takes a lot of work. But I say it's pretty cool. It does everything. Go ahead. It's a full function program. You can aim it, you can track it, you can work it, you can log it, you can control it, you can plot it. And these are some of the screens that come up with the different modules that are in Ham Radio Deluxe. Go ahead. DX Lab Suite, another one that's free. I've talked to several people that use this and some other clubs. They seem to like it real well. They seem, every time I said I can do this in Logger 32, said they can say I can do this in DX Lab too. And I said, great. I'm just not familiar with it. I play with it a little bit. It looks very interesting. Again, it's freeware and it is supported, and it does a whole lot of the things that the other ones do. Go ahead. Click. Yeah, these are a couple of the screens from DX Lab. I kind of like this one. This is cool. This shows contacts or people talking to each other, and there's a variation of that particular module I use when I'm on FT8. We'll show it to you in just a few that shows the different things that are coming on. So click DX Keeper and Log for Old Men. They both list that they'll do a whole lot of things. If you've got the time, sit down, download them, play with them. Okay, find out which one you like the best. Again, they list to use a fancy word, a plethora of things that they will do, a whole lot. Okay, some of them look very interesting. How well they are received by different groups, I don't know how popular they're all. It's interesting because 2 or 3 of the sites say we are the leader. So somebody's not telling the truth. I don't know, but there are a lot of them out there. But that's all for logging and keeping track of your QSOs. Go ahead. Okay, electronic QSLs. Okay, EQSL, Logbook of the World. Okay, how many of you do upload your files automatically for LOTW? Bruce does, Tom does, I do. Okay, instead of sending the QSLs cards out by hand now, we upload them to the ARRL, and the other people upload theirs to ARRL, and you come up with a confirmation, and it goes into a database, which you can then go to the ARRL and say, hey, I want to claim this is a confirmed QSO with this country or that country, etc. So that's a good one. One thing about it is you have to get a certificate from them, what they call a private key and a public key, and get it registered with them so they know it's you and when you upload files to them. Go ahead. Digital applications. Oh my. This is the frontier of today. It's as simple as that, especially with propagation being down. The digital modes have been extremely popular. WSJT, JT Alert, GSA Call, RSlow ScanNet, and lately DigiPan, Digital Master, Hamscope, FL Digi. These are just a few of the digital pieces of software out there. Probably the most popular thing today is WSJTX. FT8, FT4, FT65. I played a little bit with JSA Call. I've actually made a few QSOs on HF with JSA Call just to play with a little bit. It's very similar to the FT8 software. And of course, MMSSTV or the Yannick, which is just an updated version of it, really, for slow scan TV, like we do on Mondays. Works just great. Digipan's another variation for PSK. Hamscope is kind of interesting. The freeware, multiple mode subscriptions. Go ahead. Okay. Here's a few pictures for MMTV, JSA Call, WSJTX. That picture looks familiar. I just said that a week or two ago for the slow scan. So all of these are freeware. All of them are very easy to download. The learning curve is actually pretty easy on most of them. There's not a whole lot of setup. You spend more time getting your sound cards connected in interface than anything, or your rig, if you've got a serial or a port coming out of the back of your radio. So getting the interface to the radio and getting the sound cards in and out are probably the hardest part of using both these pieces of digital software. Okay. I use a Rig Blaster for my HF, and I use a good old-fashioned Signal Link on Monday nights onto my VHF radio. Okay. Digital apps, WSJTX for FT8, FT4, et cetera, with JT Alert. It's kind of interesting because there is a Mac version and a Linux version of WSJTX, and I've got it running on the Raspberry Pi. There's only one small caveat that I wish somebody would correct. JT Alert is not available for the Raspberry Pi and Windows only. And the JT Alert is the part that shows the information about the contact and the different stations that are calling. This is who I was connected to. This is somebody calling CQ, and these are different people in QSO. So I was obviously making a QSO with somebody. That's what the red lines show. But without JT Alert, it's just weird not to use it in conjunction with WSJTX. So you dumped your Mac in the shack because of, yeah, because you can't get WSJT or you can't get JT Alert. Yeah. Yeah, they're really a partnership that you can't get along without. You really need both pieces for WSJTX. Go ahead. Satellite tracking. There's lots of programs out there. Here's a couple of good ones. Something called GPredict, which you can download. Again, it's free, and it will do satellite tracking. Chessy's probably better with all the satellite tracking software out there than I am, but GPredict is one of them. What do you use on your QSOs? PT Sat 30, PC Sat 32. Okay, which is I've seen pictures of. It looks really nice. Also, for a lot, PC Sat 32. Okay, that's another one. Go ahead. This is kind of an interesting piece of software. I almost brought it in the head. Was going to have it running up front here because I'm running it on a Raspberry Pi Zero. Yeah. Little Raspberry Pi Zero hooked up to an 8-inch screen, and that's it. And I power it right off of the USB port on the monitor itself. So the whole thing's self-contained. All you plug the monitor in and it fires up. And this is called Ham Clock. And these are a couple of the screens on Ham Clock, but it will show solar activity, it will show sunspot numbers. I can even do a DX cluster link with it out to WSJTX, for instance, and I can show different views of the satellites coming across. I use it mostly for when ISS is coming through, and I know to step outside with the Yagi and start pointing, but it will track, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 different satellites at least when you bring up the window. Go ahead. That's a nice one also. Spotting software, Grid Tracker. Grid Tracker is kind of an interesting piece of software. We're going to show you in a second, but there's a lot of spotting software out there. Actually, most of the spotting software is online HTML. You don't have to download anything. You can. There's a couple. There's VE7 VE7CC is one you actually download the module, and then it comes up and displays on screen. Go ahead. These are a couple that you'll see. This is kind of interesting. This is Grid Tracker, which I have linked to WSJTX. So as the spots come up, you start seeing, and these change in real time. You'll see people calling CQ, or you'll see other people in QSO. So it's kind of cool. You can see what the propagation is like just by watching the lines off of Grid Tracker as it's painting the QSOs. Again, it's free. Another one over there is QSO Maps. It will read like your database for the WSJTX, for instance, and start showing you all the different places you've worked. And that was, I just downloaded mine one time, picked the mode, and it started showing the QSOs. So it's kind of interesting too. It's QSO Maps is what it's called. Again, freeware. Okay. Almost everything I mentioned, with a couple exceptions, you just download them, install them, and learn to use them. Go ahead. Spotting software, DX clusters mainly. VE7CC is one I use. Another one is called DX Summit, very popular because it's got lots of filters in it. You can say, I only want to see digital, and I want to see 15 and 20 meters, or something like with the bands that are open. Or I want to see the 13 colonies. Yes, that's also one. Yeah. So I run mine basically. I just want to see digital at the moment, or CW or something like that. Yeah, because sideband, they're not going to hear me anyway. Those are very nice to work. And again, those are links. One more. This is another one called DX Heat. This is a great one, by the way. You can go out to DX Heat / DXC. Gives you all kinds of information about the propagation, who's on, your time, your solar flux. Again, this is online. All you have to do is type in the URL. So this is a real nice one, DX Heat. Yeah, propagation tools. If you're into following the propagation, there's lots of them out there. Part of it's built in the ham clock, prop view, VOA cap, ham cap, all freeware. All you got to do is do a search on them. You'll find them real quick. You download it, install it, and you're up and running, just like that. And it gives you min max on your propagation. What band should that be on? What time of the day? What time of the year? What month of the year, etc. So lots of ways to track band activity. Yes, it is. Yeah, you got to be okay. VOA cap as a website also, yes. Yeah, okay. And there's so many more. There's RTL, SDR. SDR Sharp, okay? These are for using the dongles, and there's something called APRS. I run APRS at home on a Raspberry Pi using two pieces of software, one called Direwolf and the other one called Exaster. And it's kind of interesting because in the morning I'll come in and see one person I have was teased about it. I can see, well, I see if I give Brian a call on the way into work because I see him driving to work every day, amongst other people. There's a lot of activity on APRS, a lot of mobile stations out there on it. It's surprising just how many. Radio programming, Chirp. Everybody familiar with Chirp probably? Yeah, almost. Anybody haven't heard of Chirp? Okay, that's, a godsend for programming an HT. Or a mobile rig, or almost any of the fancy digital radios nowadays. The rig control, HRD, FTD, XRC. That's the Yaesu one. Tom, you're familiar with that one? Yeah. Yeah. It's only for certain radios. This is true. It happened to be the one I own and you own. Yeah, FT950. Okay, that's a picture of my radio at home, and I can control it from my laptop. Yeah, and it works pretty well once I figured it out. Again, there's a learning curve with all of that one, especially the audio part. Yeah, okay. So down in the corner is something called SDR Sharp, which is really this wideband view of a dongle and a frequency bandwidth spectrum analyzer, if you will. Okay. You can use them for, I forgot what I covered up there. Obviously with the picture, I didn't realize I'd done that. Oh, antenna analysis. That's what that was, that one. So go ahead. Let's see what we got here. There's all kinds of miscellaneous software. And if you've got a lot of different things around, sometimes you can use something. If you got a Raspberry Pi that you'd like to talk to, and you want to run what we call headless. In other words, I don't want to hook a monitor and a keyboard and mouse up to it. I just want to turn it on and be able to look at it. You can use something called VNC, Virtual Network Connection, because VNC server is part of Raspberry Pi. All you do is click a little box and say enable it. Then you install something called VNC client. You click, and suddenly you're looking at the screen on your Raspberry Pi. So it saves some time. But the one I really want to talk about, and I love this program, and it's free again, is something called Barrier. Okay, you can download it, and you put the server up on your Windows PC, and then you install clients on Mac, on Raspberry Pi, on Linux, anything you want. And what's really cool is I now have, I'm sitting there at home with multiple monitors. Two of these are Windows. This is Raspberry Pi, and this is APRS on Raspberry Pi. Now that would think, yeah, that I'd have 3 keyboards and 3 sets of mice in order to control all those. Well, with Barrier, I have 1 keyboard and 1 mouse. And all I do is drag it across the screens, and it doesn't care what the platform is. It can be Linux, it could be Mac, it can be Windows, but I just seamlessly move right on the cross. Okay, and once I'm on that screen, the keyboard takes over like it knows it's on that particular device. So again, my setup, you know, I had the master, but then I've got the secondary screen, and I've got 2 or 3 more. I got a video switch. I can switch between like 3 different Raspberry Pis for one I want to see, but all of them are controlled by 1 mouse and 1 keyboard. So as far as miscellaneous tools or accessories, that's a good one, Barrier. And you can set it to automatically boot up on your Raspberry Pi and to boot when you start up Windows, and you're away and running, and saves a lot of heartache. Go ahead. This happened to be an interesting one I came across. Miscellaneous software for Logger 32. It's an add-on. It's got summary by modes and summary by this year and summary on FT8. And it's kind of cool because all you do is point it at your data file, and you get all your statistics, what I've worked on, what band, what mode, how many per year, what month, etc. So you can get all kinds of really interesting information out of it. And it was just a quick add-on that I happened to come across, and I just started playing with it. So I thought I'd throw it in there. It's kind of cool. All you do is grab an ADIF file out of any of the logging programs that you're using, and it will read it in and give you the statistics for it. It doesn't care which one you're using, as long as it's a native file. Okay? And I think, since we were short on time, how about that? Questions? No questions. Oh, good. Yeah, you're going to try a couple things? Yeah. And like I say, there's tons of software out there. There's more you can play with and have fun with. And I unfortunately have lots of time to sit at home and play with some of these, and see what can I use in the shack that keep me interested with it and save myself a lot of frustration. So that's it.